Alright, in this video I'm going to go over my 2002 Matt Kenseth collection, and I'm going to start with the Busch series, and I'm going to kind of angle the camera down a little bit. I noticed my focus wasn't so great in the other two videos, but yeah, so I'm going to focus this down, see if we can get a little bit better focus on these cars. Alright, here is the... So, in 2002, Matt Kenseth won a lot of races in the Cup Series, but for some reason, he didn't have great sponsorship, apparently, at the Busch Series. He just had King Ford for, because he was in the Chevy in, 99, 2000, or 98, 99, 2000, 2001, and he moved to Ford in 2002, but he just raced a handful of races with King as a sponsor. And this one, as you can see, is the white hood with the flames. I think he drove maybe one or two races with this car. And yeah, obviously you can't buy this anywhere. And so I had to custom make it for my collection. So yeah, so that's the one with the white hood, black lettering. This one is the black hood with the white lettering, King. And I think, again, he drove this maybe one or two races. Nothing on the back. Of course, detailed underneath. Here you can see the drill must have slipped a little bit off of the area, and I chewed up this around here, and so I had to extend the JB weld out a little bit to cover that area. So yeah, that was fun. I actually printed those decals myself, both the hood and the flames, and turned out pretty well. Pato now offers this decal set. And then my most recent addition, which pretty much completes my 2002 collection. If I can get it out of the bag here, is the King with this rectangle banner on the hood. And this one he drove at Las Vegas. And it's funny, the more recent cars that I make are my better cars. And just when I look at some of the ones that I made earlier in my so-called custom diecast career, they're not as good as the ones that I can make now. So it's kind of neat to see how I've improved over the years of making these cars. But yeah, so those are the three King cars that he drove in 2002 in the Busch Series. Like I said, just a handful of races. Okay. All right, let's get on to what I would say is my favorite DeWalt paint scheme. Was his 2002 car. I love the circular saw blade on the side. Just thought that was awesome when that car came out, because he had drove a kind of a standard black and gold paint scheme for DeWalt up until 2002, and then he came out with this cool circular saw blade across the fender and everything. Just awesome idea, awesome paint scheme. Everything else is pretty much the same, but that was just really, really cool. So this is the 2002 regular paint scheme that he drove. I don't think I really did anything with this car. I think it's pretty much as is as a Team Caliber Owner Series car. Now this one, so they had these no bowl races And if you were a no bowl driver racing for whatever $1 million, you had some special coloring. So you had orange on this lower valence, orange number on the roof, and orange spoiler. And so I built, that's what he drove at Talladega. And I added this AT&T logo here as well, because AT&T was also a sponsor, as we'll see, in 2002. I really like that car. I mean, it's basically this car with just a couple minor changes, and it's, I won't say it's one of a kind, but I don't see anybody else. I think I may have sold one of those before, but that one is really rare. This one I've never seen in 1/64 scale other than this one. So it's a little weird, but I went ahead and I later in the year he had DeWalt frame it up as a sub-sponsor, or a little slogan that DeWalt was running with the frame it up. And so I made this one. It had there, and then it had this spot on the back, on the trunk lid. So I, again, painted this yellow and added that decal. And that's my own printed decal. And it's not the greatest quality, but again, trying to match what he drove on the track. Added the AT&T here. And yeah, so I have this down that he drove this at Bristol. DeWalt frame it up. So not my best work, but a car nonetheless. Alright, so this is another one that I'd have to say I've never seen before in 1/64 scale. So in 2002 at the Winston, he drove this Flames car. Basically it's all yellow, and it's got these little flames on the sides wrap around the back, and it says World Pit Crew Championship, so a tribute to Kenseth's pit crew. But it's not the greatest decal set. If you can see that, the quality isn't there. Pato doesn't offer these decals, but found a source years ago that had this set. And again, it's not printed on high quality paper, and it's just, yeah, you can see the DeWalt is a little crooked. Not the best quality, but it's a paint scheme that I've never seen in 1/64 scale. So it's, I don't say it's one of a kind, but it's extremely rare car. So excited to have it in my collection. I just wish that the decals were of a better quality and the car was a better, just a better car made. You can see the DeWalt here on the hood. I used a yellow hood here, so the DeWalt is high quality, but when you go to the sides, it's not. But here I am nitpicking on a car that I've never seen before, so excited to have that in my collection. So here are a few of the AT&T cars that Matt drove. So this is a standard one that he drove, 2002, a couple different races, I believe, AT&T Broadband. I've got some work to do on this one. I got to detail the underneath. I've got to touch up the hood pins I can see here, and see if these roof lines are black or white. But I've got a little bit of work to do. Some decals here and to go on the fender. But this is a nice car. Team Caliber, pretty standard. You can get this, off eBay or wherever. But I like these cars that back in this date, 2001, 2002 area, 2003, I think. They've got some weight to them. You can feel how heavy they are when you compare it to today's cars. It seems like twice as heavy. So it's really got some nice weight to it. So yeah, so that's It's a car that he drove. And then this one is one that he drove in the $1 Million Challenge. This one's readily available from, you can buy this pretty much anywhere. On eBay probably. But I've got to do a little bit of work on this one. Again, touching up the hood pins, fuel door underneath, fender, and I don't see anything on this B pillar here. I might need to check and see what Matt had there, if it was a Ford Racing logo, which is pretty standard, or something like this. Just see what's there. And on the car that he drove, see the orange spoiler. Ooh, I didn't notice this. So you got orange here, orange on the spoiler in the front. Excuse me. But it's black on this back. That's interesting. I'm going to have to watch that race now and see if that's truly the case. If it was orange on the front, black on the back. I've only seen that on a few Xfinity cars. I think Matt drove a Rezzer's car that had that, with the front was one color, maybe red, and the back was black. I want to see if that's true or not. If you know, let me know in the comments below. But I'm going to have to probably watch that race again, which is always fun to do. Maybe go back and watch those old races and reminisce where you were at that time. So here's the Daytona AT&T car. That was the Noble. So similar to this one. He just drove this with the AT&T. And if I recall, the front was black, but the roof was orange, and this was orange. So, I just took a standard AT&T car over here, this one, and applied the decals over it and painted the spoiler. It's not that much different. So, yeah. That's it. As I look at this, as I look at my cars, I can always look at them and say I can make it a little bit better. I have to be careful about that. Here I painted the exhaust silver or aluminum here for whatever reason. But yeah, that's my 2002 collection. I'll tell you a little story as I close the video. 2002, I went to my first race, and it was in Richmond, Virginia. And Matt Kenseth, it was the fall race, September race. And my wife and I went. My wife was pregnant with our daughter, our first child, in 2002. So I'm kind of dating myself here. But Matt Kenseth fell 2 laps down. I think he got a flat tire. And, it was my wife and I. It's a night race on Saturday. And we were like, first race, this is crazy. Very crazy loud. And here we're sitting next to some Rusty Wallace fans. And so Matt Kenseth goes 2 laps down relatively early in the race. And I'm like, oh man, and the guy's kind of next to me giving me a hard time. But he ends up, and this is back in the day, there's no lucky dog. He had to actually pass the leader twice, and he did. He had clearly the fastest car. Nobody was really close to him. And so he goes around, passes the leader twice, not only gets back on the lead lap, but he dominates the field, goes on and wins the race. It was absolutely incredible. And what was actually kind of fitting, I don't say fitting, but ironic, I guess, was later in the race, Rusty Wallace was in the top 10, and he was having a decent race. And later in the race, maybe, less than 100 laps to go or so, he wrecked, or got wrecked, one of the two. And the guys sitting next to me, they just up and left. I'd never been to a NASCAR race. I guess when it's common, or maybe not common, but he was really mad that his driver wrecked, and he was done. He just got up and left. He wasn't interested in watching the rest of the race, and I think he said goodbye, but it was just kind of funny, and so it just solidified, the first race I go to, and my daughter in the womb goes to, and Kenseth comes from 2 laps down and wins the race. Absolutely awesome. Just solidified me as a Kenseth fan. And then, of course, the very next year, he wins the championship, and it was just delirious euphoria and in those couple years. So real excited to see that happen. And then our daughter ended up being born on the 17th of the month, which was also kind of cool. And then a couple years later, we had another daughter, and she was also born on the 17th of the month. And so 17 became our favorite number for sure, and even is to this day, with their birthdays being on the 17th of the month. So, so just a little story there at the end. So that's my 2002 Matt Kenseth collection. Not a lot of cars, but the ones that he drove, as the major paint schemes that he has. So very excited to have this, and we'll be sending this off to the Kenseth family once I do a little touch up here and get a few more ready to go, ready to ship out. So alright guys, hope you're enjoying these collection videos. I'll have to do my 2001 later today if I can. Those are I got a lot there. In 2001, he had a lot of different little schemes, and I think I've got even more to make. So, all right, take care, guys. God bless.